When your horse nudges you in the stall, do you actually know what they're telling you? You probably assume they're just being pushy, or maybe hunting for a treat. And sometimes, sure, that's part of it. But that nose pressed against your arm can mean more than what most owners think. Horses read your face, your smell, and your energy before you've said a single word. Let's start with the one nudge that almost every owner completely misreads. They're scanning you before they trust you. Nudging starts early, really early. Foals begin nudging within hours of birth, pressing toward their mother's flank for warmth and milk. And honestly, that alone should tell you something about what a nudge means. It's one of the very first physical acts of trust a horse ever performs. And that behavior doesn't disappear as they grow up. It gets redirected. When your horse presses their nose against your chest or shoulder and then lingers, nostrils slightly open, they're doing something very specific. They're reading you. Horses have an extraordinary sense of smell, far more powerful than ours. Researchers studying this collected human body odors during two very different emotional states, fear and joy, and then exposed horses to each. The horses that smelled fear showed significantly heightened stress responses, elevated heart rate, greater agitation, and a real reluctance to approach the person. The horses who smelled joy stayed calm and engaged. So when your horse nudges you and then pauses, nose working, they're asking a question you can't answer in words. Are you calm today? Are you safe to be around? And your answer is already written in your cortisol levels, breath, and the tension in how you're standing. They know it before you've said a thing. And by the way, if you notice your horse sniffing you more intensely after you've had a rough day, don't brush it off. We'll get into exactly what that means later. It connects to something most owners never think about, and when it clicks, it changes how you show up at the stall entirely. They're asking to be counted as part of your herd. Horses are deeply social animals. In the wild, they don't just live near each other, they maintain constant physical contact with preferred herd members. Mutual grooming, which researchers call allo-grooming, is one of the primary ways horses express and reinforce social bonds. Researchers actually tracked over 200 horses across multiple herds to study this, and what they found is striking. Horses don't just groom anyone. They reserve that behavior almost exclusively for their chosen companions and consistently return to those same partners, even under stress. When things got hard, horses sought physical reassurance from their closest bonds. When your horse nudges you like this, they're initiating that same behavior. They're offering contact, inviting connection. In their social world, proximity and touch with a trusted individual is how they say, "I want you in my circle." Pay attention to what they do after the nudge. If they linger, position themselves close to you, or start gently mouthing your sleeve, that's not bad manners. That's your horse attempting the equine version of sitting beside someone they love. The nudge is a check-in. Are we still good? Am I still yours? If you think that's powerful, wait until we get to number 4. Because there's one thing your horse is doing when they nudge you that most owners mistake for stubbornness, and it changes everything about how you should respond. They're telling you something hurts. Here's the nudge most owners miss, and missing it can matter. Most people picture a horse in pain as a horse that's clearly struggling, refusing to move, visibly distressed. But gastric pain in horses often shows up much quieter than that, and the place it tends to show up first is in how your horse uses their nose. Horses dealing with gastric ulcers or stomach discomfort will often nudge or nip repeatedly at their own abdomen, just behind the elbow, especially around feeding time, when an empty stomach means acid is spiking with nothing to buffer it. So here's what this actually looks like in the stall. Your horse nudges you, then swings their head or nose back toward their own flank, or they seem unusually fidgety and inward-focused while you're handling them. Not pushy toward you, but restless in a way that's directed at themselves. Most owners read that as a horse being difficult. It's a horse telling you something hurts. Veterinary researchers have found that gastric ulcers affect an estimated 60 to 90% of racehorses and up to 50% of horses in regular training. One of the most overlooked early signs is exactly this: a change in how the horse uses their nose. More repetitive, more inward, harder to explain. A horse that suddenly nudges differently when nothing in the environment has changed is often telling you something has shifted inside their body. A vet check is worth it. Most owners never make that connection. They think their horse got pushy. Their horse was in pain. They've learned that you listen. Nudging is also, at its core, a learned behavior. Horses figure out very quickly which humans respond and which ones don't. If you've ever reached into your pocket the moment your horse's nose touched your arm, you taught them something. If you've ever stopped what you were doing to check on them after a nudge, you taught them that too. Remember earlier when I said there's something most owners mistake for stubbornness? This is it. Researchers at the University of Sussex found that horses don't just read your face, they remember it. In one study, horses were shown photographs of angry and happy human faces. Later, when they encountered the actual person whose angry expression they'd seen in a photo, their heart rates rose, and they tracked that person more warily with their left eye, the side of the brain that processes threatening information. They stored that memory, and they adjusted every interaction accordingly. A horse that nudges you persistently has decided you're worth communicating with. They've run the experiment enough times to know that reaching out to you produces some kind of response: feed, attention, comfort, or just acknowledgement. In a species that evolved to hide vulnerability as a survival strategy, that willingness to keep trying to reach you is not stubbornness. It's the highest form of trust they have. A sudden change in nudging is a message on its own. When a horse that never used to nudge starts nudging constantly, pay attention. When a horse that always nudged you suddenly stops, pay attention. Horses are creatures of deep pattern, and when a pattern breaks, that is your horse trying to tell you something. An increase in nudging, especially if it's repetitive, focused on their own body, or paired with other changes such as reluctance to eat, sensitivity to girthing, or a dull eye, can signal physical discomfort, a nutritional gap, or social stress. A decrease is just as telling. Researchers studying equine welfare have found that horses showing reduced social interaction and less investigative behavior toward people are more likely to be experiencing real discomfort. Clinical equine behaviorists have noted that horses in chronic pain often become quieter and less interactive over time. And most owners read this as the horse being calm or well-behaved. They were wrong. And this is where that rough day sniffing from point one comes full circle. When your horse lingers at your arm after a hard day, when they smell something different in you and don't pull away, that's not random. That's a bonded horse tracking a shift in their person. They've built a baseline of what you feel like: calm, stressed, tired, present. And when something changes, they notice. The nudge that follows isn't just curiosity. It's them checking in on you the same way you'd check in on them. Your horse has been building a relationship with you since the day you met. The nudge isn't a reflex. Over time, it becomes a language, one they've shaped specifically for you, because you're the person they've decided to speak to. So the next time that nose finds you in the stall, slow down for just a second. Check their eyes, check their posture. Notice whether it's a greeting, a question, a request, or something more. Because in that moment, they're not just looking for a treat. They're looking for you to understand them. And now, you do.